Hello everyone and welcome to Battle of the Beast episode number 2 of Reptile Rampage. This is the second battle of round 1 and today we've got two more beasts fighting out for a spot in round 2. So with these beasts we have, I'm going to be completely honest, one of the more uninteresting matchups to be honest. This one may be a kind of short fight, but with that let's introduce the beasts. So representing series 2, the Golden Armor. The only reptilian representative of that series, we have Vipero, the Snake Man, versus his opponent, a representative of Series 19, the Kingdom of Dragons. One of 4 beasts in this tournament, and probably one of the more underrated dragons in that series, if you ask me. We have Korvax, the Sea Dragon. So, with these two beasts fighting out, I'm very curious to see how this is going to end. But with that, let's get to the stats to have a really good understanding on what we're dealing with here. Vipero the Snake Man. Anyone who survives the long journey into the depths of Avantia's blisteringly hot ruby desert might have the misfortune of crossing paths with Vipero. He is one of the largest reptiles in any of the known kingdoms. His 2 vicious snake heads contain fangs that drip with poison. Most interesting is the human torso in the middle of his long green body, which gives him the ability to reach out and grab his enemies. Age 397, power 272, magic level 123, fright factor 75, size 260. Powers and abilities: venomous fangs, head liberation. Vipero's heads can survive if they are decapitated, lets them continue attacking. Enhanced strength, heat manipulation. Vipero's body radiates extreme amounts of heat, able to cause severe droughts. This was only seen during his Garden of the Golden Armor. Natural weaponry and heat resistance. Weaknesses is low durability. Korvax the Sea Dragon. In the frozen waters of Draconia, the Kingdom of Dragons, dwells Korvax, an ice-breathing sea dragon. As if that wasn't terrifying enough, her transparent body displays the poor sea creatures she has consumed. Questers must be very careful to avoid suffering the same fates. Age 190, power 300, magic level 179, fright factor 89, size 277. Powers and abilities: ice body, cold adaptation, flight, underwater breathing, webbed feet, ice breath, ice healing and regeneration, natural weaponry, and enhanced durability. Weaknesses are extreme fire and heat weakness. So with the stats done for Vipero versus Korvax, I'm just going to say this battlefield is going to be in the clock arena from the Hunger Games Catching Fire, just like the previous battle. And with that, let's get into this battle. Let's see how long this battle will last, first of all. Okay, so as the chamber doors open, Vipero slithers out of his chamber, making his way straight towards the centre before stretching out his arms, basking in the glow of the sun, as he controls it to give a little extra heat for his cold-blooded nature. Meanwhile, Korvax bursts out through the sky exit and roars into the arena, showing her needle-sharp teeth. As the heat increases, Korvax feels water dripping down her body. Immediately, Korvax snarls before diving into the water. He gets rid of any water that was coming from her body, for immediately bursting out of the water again, with her wings stretched out, flying in the sky, before breathing an ice breath directly on Vipero. Vipero bows his head and uses his arms to deflect as much heat as possible. Korvax swoops in, bites down onto Vipero's arms, and hoists Vipero up into the air, dragging his entire body upwards. Vipero roars in pain, and with using both of his mouths, bites into Vipero into Korvax's snout. Bites into Korvax's snout to try and make her lose her grip. Korvax resists letting go and instead uses her claws to grab onto each of Vipero's necks, and then lets go of his arms before swinging her whole body around, flinging Vipera around and around by his necks before slamming him directly into the ground on the ground of the arena. Korvax then flies down to one of the spokes before making his way up to Vipero, who is at the moment discombobulated at the moment. Before Vipero regains himself, he turns around to face Korvax, who immediately lifts up a claw and slashes right across one of Vipero's heads, slashing, giving 3 long, deep gashes right through Vipero's head. The other Vipero head snaps at Korvax in frustration, trying to intimidate Korvax. Korvax, completely unintimidated, lifts up her tail, wraps it around Vipero's body, pinning his arms together and his heads right next to each other as the blood from one of the Vipero heads are just trickling down the body. Korvax breathes ice directly on to Vipero, freezing the blood in place before biting down onto one of Vipero's heads and then twisting it, breaking that head, leaving the gashed head just staring at this beast who just killed one half of him before staring down onto that last head and then falling back into the water, pulling Vipero with her. As Vipero falls into the water, instantly Korvax breathes ice all over the water, starting to make the water insanely cold and freezing it over. Vipero realizes what she's doing and trying to break free, but being unable to, can feel the chill running down his entire body as he feels his whole body starting to stiffen up from the increase in temperature. He looks down at his body, his partner's head, and even his arms, and his scales are starting to crack from the increased temperature change. Korvax then releases Vipero. As Vipero is trying to reach for the surface and break through it, Vipero can't. And as he punches at the surface, trying to break through the water, he realizes that the water has now turned to ice. As he turns around to meet his opponent, Korvax lays her eyes directly on Vipero before using a claw, grabbing Vipero by that last living head, using her other claw and slashes right through the neck, decapitating him, letting the body sink to the bottom of the water. Staring at this lone head with blood trickling out of it, all Korvax does is bites down on that head. Doesn't go deep enough for it to be fatal, but then punches through the ice and dumps Vipero's last head on the ice, leaving, and then going back under the water, sealing up the water, turning it back to ice, as the last Vipero head goes around trying to think about what just happened, completely shocked that he didn't get finished off straight away. But as he's making his way around, he realizes that, did Korvax let him live? Remembering the rules of the tournament, he knows that there's supposed to be one beast dead, so why did Korvax let him go? Vipero then decides that he needs to change the environment just so he can actually move around a bit more, so that head can move around a little bit more. He then controls the weather to make a severe drought, melting the ice, and giving Vipero more heat to, move around and feel more adapted to the environment. At that moment, Korvax rises up, says 2 things. Says 3 things. 4 words to him. That was your last mistake. Before grabbing onto the neck, lifting up above her mouth and biting down on the head, twisting the neck clean off, pulling it back before swallowing that head whole. As the last thing that Vipero head sees through Korvax's innards is the other head already eaten. As Korvax looks up to the drought, which is now fading away from Vipero's lifeless body, no longer having control over it, Korvax lands on one of the spokes and makes her way back to her chamber, snorting out a little bit of ice here and there to create a little ice bath back to her chamber for a little bit of effect, let's say. And with that, the battle is over. Korvax has won, Vipero has lost. If you think Vipero should have won, please comment below. I think that Halma was final and Korvax moving on to the next round. So, with this battle, are we really surprised that Korvax won this one? Sorry, no disrespect to Vipero. I mean, good book, don't get me wrong. Not a great beast, let's be honest. So, with that, it's not really a surprise to me that Korvax has made it through to round 2. But hopefully Korvax's next battle will be a bit more exciting. But as I said, this is a very uninteresting matchup because it's very obvious on who's going to win. But with that, that's all for this time. If you like what you saw, leave a like, leave a comment, definitely subscribe, press the notification bell down in the corner below. And until then, I'll see you in the next battle of Battle of the Beast Reptile Rampage. Peace out.